this meeting to order. Tuesday, October 21st, 2025, Common Council meeting. Carrie, would you read the roll, please?
Sure. Alderperson Carpenter.
Here.
Estercon.
Here.
Gantz.
Here.
Hanson.
Here.
Cuniger.
Here.
Ledvina.
Here.
Nelson. Alderperson Nelson. Alderperson Nelson is attending virtually, but I don't think his microphone is on.
Get his mic on. Get him back in office.
Muted.
Alderperson P-Rock.
Here.
And Mayor Boyd is excused.
All right, item number 2, the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, item number 3, approval of the minutes of the October 7th, 2025 meeting of the Common Council.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Right, motion by Alderperson Carpenter, seconded by Alderperson P-Rock. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 4, public hearing to act on a request to remove PDD overlays at multiple parcels on Lawrence Drive between Bridgeport Lane and Daytona Speedway. Carrie, would you read the notice of public hearing, please?
The notice was published in the Press Times on October 3rd and October 10th, 2025.
Thank you. Recommendation from the Plan Commission.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The item in front of you tonight is the request to remove the PDD overlay. At the Plan Commission, staff presented another round of PDD overlays that is a result of our zoning code change from 2023. We are in the process of cleaning up unnecessary PDDs or PDDs that have now been made redundant by having the underlying zoning match the proposed use. So as a result, staff presented a proposal that the Plan Commission heard and recommended approval on. Since that time, staff has heard from Alderperson Carpenter with their follow-up request from a constituent for further clarification. But other than that, that is the only information or request for information we have received since that time.
All right, thank you. All right, I will declare the public hearing open. If anyone wishes to speak on this item, I would ask that you raise your hand and come forward to the microphone. Anybody have anything on this item? Anyone virtually want to speak on this item? Third and final call for speakers. All right, I would declare this public hearing closed and would entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Right. Motion by Alderperson Hanson, seconded by Alderperson P-Rock. Is there any discussion on the item?
No, sound a little.
All right, if not, roll call vote, please.
Alderperson Carpenter.
Aye.
Estercon.
Aye.
Gantz.
Aye.
Hanson.
Aye.
Cuniger.
Aye.
Ledvina.
Aye.
Nelson.
Alderperson Nelson, if you could unmute.
Somebody do sign language to him.
Just have it skip them.
Okay. Alderperson P-Rock.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, item number 5, public hearing to act on a request for conditional use for Type B home occupation at 600 Lewis Street. Carrie, would you read the notice of public hearing, please?
The public hearing notice was published in the Press Times on October 3rd and October 10th, 2025.
Thank you. Recommendation from Plan Commission.
Thank you again. At the meeting of the September 22nd meeting of the Plan Commission, they recommended approval of the conditional use for the Type B home occupation. Since that meeting, city staff, as well as alders, as well as the mayor, have received several letters, emails, and phone calls. And given that, staff would like to provide a summary of some of the aspects of that petition here tonight. So the applicant submitted an application for a Type B home occupation at the address listed on the agenda. These are required when the home occupation applicant is requesting to have visitors, either in the form of an employee or a customer, visit the site. In this case, the applicant intends to have customers visit the site. If the applicant did not have customers planning to visit the site or a non-resident employee, they would operate a type A home occupation, which is permitted with no further review at the committee levels, but it would be based off of the ordinance. Several years ago, the local governing bodies had a wide range of authority when it came to reviewing conditional uses in this case, but changes to state law via Act 67 in 2017 drastically narrowed the council's authority. In an attempt to create that uniform standardization process, municipalities to review conditional use permits, they were setting standards for them to be reasonable and to the extent practical, measurable, and prohibited personal preferences or speculation in those decisions. But in doing so, they've sort of greatly diminished your powers as a local jurisdiction to have local control over those conditional use permits. Therefore, now local governments must grant a conditional use if the applicant meets or agrees to meet all the required conditions, and any conditions that are added need to be based on substantial evidence, and that was discussed at the Plan Commission. To put kind of another way, public opposition, which primarily in the past may have been used to add a condition, can no longer be used as the sole reason to make an added condition. Because the decision to grant or deny a conditional use is also based off of quasi-judicial local decision makers must follow the kind of rules and procedures of due process, and why we're having a public hearing tonight. And that means that testimony should be limited in the public hearing to the topic at hand, and decisions shall be predetermined standards with any required substantial evidence have to be provided, and decision makers should be impartial in that discussion. In summary of the conditional use items here tonight, the applicant has requested the ability to have customers at his home. And as long as he meets or agrees to those conditions, in the ordinance, which are generally related to the residential character that we've seen, the council cannot withhold that conditional use. Conditional use only grants the applicant the authority to have customers. Again, that's what we're talking about here tonight, is the customer component to it at the business, and not the business use itself. And then therefore, per the Plan Commission recommendations, the applicant has met or agreed to meet those conditions. And in front of you is staff's summary checklist that is available to you, that we've sort of, it's in the packet, it's in your staff report, but it's available to you in kind of a more of a condensed format. The applicant has also agreed in that packet in your staff report to see that there are more additional conditions that they voluntarily put on themselves, but aren't related strictly to the conditional use regulations for that home occupation. But the business use itself is why most probably people here are in attendance, and the applicant is proposing to operate a gun repair and gunsmithing business at the residence. This unique business type is afforded legal protections under state and federal laws that are very specific preemptions on local government control. Denying a conditional use would not change the applicant's right to conduct this business in their home. Additionally, there are no zoning code changes, ordinance changes, or other local government actions that could prevent the applicant from operating this business in his home, nor along George Street, Broadway Street, or any other of the local downtown streets just a few blocks away. The only thing that would prevent would be a non-compliance with the regulations and licensing requirements set forth by the states and by the feds. While our zoning code includes a lot of information about certain types and where uses can be, this land use has extraordinary rights that are above and beyond what the zoning code can typically protect. And therefore, they're granted privileges based off of the law set, again, at the state and national level. But to aid in the hearing tonight, in front of your packet, as well as on the table back here, there are two separate FAQs that are available on the back table that is kind of a summary of what staff has heard over the past few weeks. And to aid in that one is directly related to the conditional use itself, and the separate one is related to the state and federal regulations on the type of business. And so I want to make sure that we have a discussion tonight about keeping those things separate, and that's the reason why those FAQs are there. So with that, as a reminder, the Plan Commission did recommend approval of the Type B home occupation.
Thank you. Mr. Ryan?
Do you have anything to add? I covered it, yeah.
No? Okay. Thanks, Dan. All right, I'm going to open the public hearing, but I just want to go over what it's going to look like. I'm going to invite those who signed up first to speak, but I will open it up to the public, to the rest of the audience if you didn't get a chance to sign up to speak. But I'm going to go through the list first. Raise your hand and I'll call you up when it's time. But when you do come forward, you'll sit at this table here. You'll state your name and your address. That's for the record. And then you will have 3 minutes to share your comments. And there will be a screen, I believe, a little screen timer on the large screens that you'll be able to see. So you'll have 3 minutes to speak. While you're speaking, staff will be taking notes. So they're going to write down your questions, they're going to write down your comments. Anything that they can address after the public hearing, they will. But just know that we are unable to engage with you during the public hearing. So you'll just be speaking and we'll just be listening. Try to refrain from asking questions that have already been asked. As I said, staff will be writing down questions and we'll answer them if they can after we close the public hearing. Yeah, and then that's about it. We'll then start discussion after the public hearing on any questions that you had and perhaps with the applicant as well. Okay, so at this time, I'll open the public hearing.
Yes. No,
No,
just open.
I just opened it
opening.
myself.
Yeah,
Yep.
correct.
And the first person I have on the list is Nicole Slavin. Please step forward. He wants to speak last. And state your name and address for us, please.
Yeah. Hi, Nicole Slavin. I live at 339 South Michigan Street.
Good. Thank you.
Good evening, council members. I live on South Michigan Street, just down the block from the proposed home-based gun store at 600 Lewis Street. Approval of the conditional use permit risks public safety, legal compliance, and opposing the city's own ordinance. Under Section 106.2, Part F, Item 2 of the De Pere City Code, it states, "No license or permit shall be approved if the applicant does not possess the necessary qualifications or requirements for the license, or if issuance of the license or permit would be contrary to the public health, safety, or welfare." Right now, Mr. Farnsworth does not have a federal firearms license, which is required to legally operate. Approving a permit without that license would conflict with this ordinance and could expose the city to legal challenge for approving an incomplete or non-compliant application. But beyond this licensing issue, this location sits just 50 feet outside of a federally defined gun-free safety school zone. Both the superintendent of the Unified School District of De Pere and the president of the Green Bay Area Catholic Education School System have written letters urging the city to delay this decision, citing safety concerns for the many students who walk past that home daily. I live right down the block. I watch these kids walk past every single day. Given these unresolved legal and safety issues, I respectfully ask the council to deny the permit or at least table or defer this vote until the license is confirmed and a detailed safety plan is reviewed with input from both schools. Thank you for your time and for protecting the safety and integrity of our wonderful neighborhood.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
Next on the list, I have David Keen.
May I step in?
Yeah, we'll do folks that are tuning in virtually after we get all of the folks that are in person, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is David Cohn. I reside at 1222 Trailside Terrace in Seymour. I'm here to speak on Dan's behalf of his character. I met Dan roughly a year and a half ago at his employment at Cabela's. At Cabela's, Dan has done the job of selling firearms, being a gunsmith with firearms. He works with firearms every day at his job. For somebody to come up here and question his character or his qualifications is absurd. Dan is a military veteran. He served in the Army. In the Army, he was in charge of helicopter maintenance. That means he was in charge of that helicopter when it went up the flight. Those souls that are on that helicopter, if that crashes, that's on Dan. His command gave him that responsibility. He earned that responsibility to protect those soldiers. For somebody to worry about school kids walking by their house and about how they would have access to firearms is, again, absurd. That's an irrational fear. The word irrational, if you don't mind, Webster defines irrational as lacking usual or normal mental clarity or coherence, not endowed with reason or understanding, not governed by or according to reason. It's pretty pretty easy to understand what irrational means. Dan does not reside in a school zone. He resides outside of a school zone. Through my organization, Dan my organization is called Angels to Heroes. We take military vets and first responders outdoors, hunting and fishing, to combat the effects of PTSD with the ultimate goal of preventing suicides. Dan has been on trips with me. He has exampled himself in a way that is very professional. He has actually fixed my gun for me. There is nothing on the books in the laws that state that he can't do this as a private citizen. He just can't charge for it. He has the training as a gunsmith. So for somebody to assume he's unqualified is an irrational fear of his qualifications to public safety. It's not right. I'm a two-time suicide survivor. I would put my life in Dan's hands any second of the day. That's his character.
Thank you. Next is Chris Thompson. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi there, Chris Thompson, 1321 Co-Pilot Way, De Pere.
Thank you.
Administration from the Unified School District of De Pere believes that insufficient review and discussion has occurred regarding the home-based gunsmith and online firearm sales business proposed by Daniel Farnsworth and approved by the Zoning and Planning Commission at their September 22nd, 2025 meeting. Mr. Farnsworth's home, the proposed site for this business, is located approximately 1,050 feet from Foxview Intermediate School. This falls just 50 feet from the perimeter of the safe school zone as defined by the Federal Guns-Free School Zones Act of 1990 and Wisconsin State Statute 948.605. Having reviewed the application documents submitted, school administration is of the opinion that an inadequate explanation was provided regarding the student safety component associated with his proposed business location. Ample detail regarding how Mr. Farnsworth would ensure that his customers bring their firearms to him unloaded and in locked cases was not provided. Never did he acknowledge that his proposed business would be located near a school, let alone be a place where elementary level children walk by on a sidewalk daily. Similarly, at the meeting, the Zoning and Planning Commission stated that it would not monitor or have the police department monitor his business, rather respond to complaints. This disappoints us, as little thought has been given to the safety of children walking past this house to and from school. With the proposed business location on the perimeter of the gun-free zone, I strongly recommend that additional discussion and review take place to ensure safety measures are outlined in detail and made publicly available to neighbors, to the business customers, and to nearby schools. I also believe that a proactive monitoring plan to verify compliance is a common sense measure. I urge Common Council members to ensure that the safety of our community's children is prioritized by taking appropriate time to discuss and plan how both Mr. Farnsworth and the city can guarantee 100% compliance from his customers with the transport of unloaded, cased, and locked firearms before approval is being given to this home-based business. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt Peterson.
Hi, Matt Peterson, 2326 Berkeley Road, De Pere. I'm here today as a De Pere citizen, parent, and school board member to share my concerns about the residential gunsmith shop at 600 Lewis Street. I speak on my own behalf, not as a representative of the entire USDD board. I want to make clear that my opposition is not to the applicant, who I spoke to recently and found to be worthy of our respect and admiration for his service. Nor is my opposition to guns in general. I'm a lifelong hunter, and I believe the vast, vast majority of gun owners intend no harm to anyone. My concern My concerns lie strictly in the location of this requested business and its proximity to 2 schools and in the walking path of many children. Regardless of the many safety procedures followed by this business owner, the applicant, while the firearms are in his direct control, which I do trust, it does not change the fact that he can't control his customers. People will be coming to and from this residence and picking up weapons while kids parade by on their way to school and home from school. All it would take is for one of that business owner's customers to be carrying a loaded weapon for a disaster to happen. More likely than an actual tragedy is that our kids, who unfortunately have lived their entire lives having to prepare for the very real possibility of being shot in their own classrooms, will be exposed to seeing adults they don't know carrying firearms around just a few hundred feet from where they play at recess. Laws require that individuals keep these guns cased, but in most instances that doesn't disguise what the cases really contain. I asked the council and the applicant actually mutually to agree to delay this decision to provide more time to consider safety elements that could be employed to keep this very honest entrepreneur from unintentionally bringing fear and additional risk into our neighborhoods and school zones, even though I believe his heart is in the right place. I asked the applicant and council to spend more time for the collective good of our community, looking deeper at operating hours, customer exchange plans, and maybe different locations for this business doesn't have to take a long time. This year, there have been nearly as many school shooting incidents in America as there have been school days. Let's do everything we can to ensure that we don't add De Pere to that horrific list. Thank you.
Thank you. Christian Mills?
Hi. My name is Christian Mills, and I live at 518 Lewis Street, directly across the street from this property in question. My son walks past this house every day on his way to Notre Dame of De Pere. I object to this proposal. I think that it brings danger and trauma into our midst. This rezoning request is at its simplest rude and unneighborly, and at its worst, it is petrifying. It brings any number of guns into our neighborhood. The city must vote no. You must vote no to protect your legacy. A vote in favor is a vote against the safety of children. I reject the idea that this will contravene any existing laws, or that the city has or has made any additional laws that restrict the applicant in contravention of the state and federal laws. I am shocked by the suggestion that a no vote of this council will essentially be against the law, since when is a vote illegal? This is a request to open a gun shop within shooting distance of our children. It brings the epidemic of school shootings, church shootings, mall shootings, assassinations, synagogue shootings. It brings bullets and guns to our doorstep. This is trauma. The corner of Lewis and Michigan is a veritable highway in De Pere. Hundreds and hundreds of children and their parents, parishioners, Mulva Center patrons, joggers, walkers, even the fire department travel through this intersection. Our peace of mind is being accosted. My son walks past this house every day. What do I do? Do I tell him to walk a different way? I barely can. There's nothing else I can do. It's a block and a half away. What would otherwise be an innocuous enterprise of gunsmithing at a home that has its lawful right to conduct business, but outside the 1,000-foot proximity to schools? Does the applicant know the laws? Does he abide by them? Is he truly qualified to maintain guns? Did he obtain any of the degrees or certificates from SDI that he said he attended for a little while in the television interview? What was the training that he got from the gunsmith under whom he trained for a little bit? Was this legit? I don't know. I've already witnessed a friend of the applicant wearing a pistol on his hip on this street as they mocked up a tree stand on our corner. Does that person have the right to carry a gun 583 feet as the crow flies from a school? Who is supposed to check? Me? I am not supposed to monitor my neighbors. That is ridiculous. I've already seen cases of bullets delivered to the door of this house by a man in a car that did not have a license plate. Who are the people coming to this residence now? I don't know guns. I looked for those boxes that I saw, and we searched for it, and they were bullets. I understand that that's the end of my time.
Yes, thank you.
It would be. This vote that you have in front of you needs to be a no vote. Vote for the safety of children and vote for our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Eben Erhard.
My name is Eben Earhart. I live at 407 South Michigan Street. I would like to clarify the address we're speaking about. On the application, presumably submitted by the petitioner, the address is listed as 610 Lewis Street, number 612. All other references are to 600 Lewis Street. Staff can address that. In the agenda packet on page 42, 7A-1, under structure details, the current workshop space is approximately 600 square feet within the height and width limits established by zoning regulations. Later this is summarized by staff referring to the 600 square feet. On page 43, which is the city code, the area devoted to conduct of all home occupations present on the property is limited to 25% of dwelling units floor area or 650 square feet, whichever is less. The petitioner's response, summarized by staff from the above information, referenced the type B occupation being no more than 600 square feet of the existing home. I would like confirmation that the home is exactly 2,400 square feet or larger. If it is not, I believe you cannot vote on this measure because the information provided in the agenda packet is incorrect. The application lists hours of operations with a caveat of potential extended hours for peak seasons as needed. This is rather undefined. When are peak seasons? Back to school? I would like to ask the members of the audience if the petitioner has reached out to them, as he said he will do, to discuss his business. If you would raise your hand. I would like to note for the record that no hands were raised. He filed the petition on August 19th. A month later, there was the zoning commission meeting, at which time he should have known there was some opposition, which would probably lead the reasonable person to reach out to some of the neighbors. If he didn't realize that, the mayor urged him to do so, and yet it seems he's not done that. How can you believe that he will follow through with all of the I wills on his petition if he hasn't even done this first step? Where is the workshop going to be located? If it's in the basement, I assume the petitioner is compliant with this Wisconsin laws on below-grade home businesses, including egress access. Guns, by the school safe law, must be locked in a rack, in a vehicle, or cased and unloaded. If violations are observed, is this a reportable offense, and how many of those offenses need to be reported in order for the permit to be revoked? Note that if a customer shows up with a vehicle locked in a rack, they cannot put it in a case without it being out of a rack and out of a case.
Thank you. Next we have, is it Dowlin Denny? I don't know. Oh, okay, thank you. That's all for the signups. Does anybody here that didn't get a chance to sign up wish to speak? Please just raise your hand and I'll call you forward. And come forward, please, and state your name and address for the record.
Matt Weary, 615 Lewis Street. I'll just keep it really short and sweet because everybody pretty much covered it. My also concern that I do have is that there is a church right by. That's basically my additional concern that I do have. There could be alternate locations. I don't know. There's many vacant area businesses that I've seen, whatever that veterinarian is supposed to be down on whatever. That's a possible location. There's other places than in the home by 2 schools and a church. That's all.
Thank you. Is anyone else in the audience? Yep, you can come forward, please. State your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Anthony Regazzi, 2061 East Vista Circle, De Pere, Wisconsin, 54115. I just have a couple statements. What I'm hearing, and again, I'm more confused than anything else. This is nothing but terror from things happening around our wonderful country, the shootings in schools, the shootings in churches. So we have a terror, just like 9/11, the terrorist attack on our country. This is similar, so we have the same reaction that some people, that they are responding in fear instead of common sense. So that's what I just would like to interject. Secondly, the initial hours that Mr. Farnsworth has, if I am correct, is from 10:30 to 2 o'clock. There's no children walking to and from school during that time. So again, there is fear and throwing things on the table to try and make them feel better instead of the overall situation. Mr. Farnsworth is a veteran, which I thank him greatly for. He is I believe he is a 3rd-generation gunsmith. So this gentleman saying some this, some little, he's been working with 2 previous generations on gunsmithing. So I am not concerned with any of that. I am not concerned about him unloading his safe and shooting up churches and schools. That does not make any sense to these people that are living in fear. You do not need to be in fear. You do not need to be fearful of common sense situations like this. This is something that's totally common sense. It's nothing more. It's nothing. He's not trying to pull a wool over your eyes. He's not trying to fudge the square footage of his building. He's not trying to do anything other than carry on a family tradition and something he is proud to do. And like he stated in the Green Bay Press Gazette, he'd rather have someone bring their gun that's faulty and have him fix it the right way than have them try and fix it and they end up with a fatality, whether it be the person with the gun or someone by them. So again, common sense wins, fear doesn't. And God bless the city of De Pere. Thank you.
Thank you.
I still have like 2 minutes or so. Can I come back?
We can get through, why don't we get through everybody in person?
Right.
And then, sure.
For comment time, I would like to go.
Go ahead, you can come up. State your name and address for the record, please.
Anna Regazzi, 2061 East Vista Circle.
Thank you.
A few things. I do insurance for over a decade. If Daniel is able to get a home business endorsement that covers for liability on his property, I don't see why it's anyone else's concern. Also, looking at home-based businesses, we have one in West De Pere, within 2 miles of Sybil Hop. So I can tell you within the block, there's 4 homes of special needs. They park their cars on side streets. The trailers are detached with machinery for stump removal. I feel that is more of a hazard than someone having guns and repairing them in their own home, because that is on a public street. One other concern is people are saying about kids walking past a house. How is kids walking past a house to school any different than kids walking past sex offenders in East De Pere to go to Legion Park to go swim? I feel those are both, if we're going to concern about his, we need to concern about our sex offenders and where they are located near local parks. Also, as kids walk past these houses, how many of these houses are concealed carry or hunters that have guns? Do the kids know that those houses are concealed carry or have firearms or shotguns? If they are fearing passing his house because his house is advertised, then they should be fearing every house they walk past because you don't know. Just as soon as
Thank you.
if someone is driving by, do you know if they are concealed carry? If a car passes a kid as they're walking to school? I know people that are on safety teams of churches that have a loaded firearm with concealed carry. How is that any different than people having their guns unloaded in a case going to his address? You don't know one address to another if there's a gun in that house to protect ourselves, and we have the rights for shotguns and concealed carry. Just as he has the right if he has the endorsement on his insurance and he has them coming with them unloaded, he has that same right as anyone who has a concealed carry.
Thank you. Anyone else in person wish to speak? Please state your name and address for the record.
Lori Sadiewater, 407 South Michigan Street. I came into the meeting not intending to speak. I thought that the facts and information that had been presented by my husband spoke for themselves. And then I listened to some people talk, and I decided that I wanted to speak up because I was told that this was supposed to be about facts and information, not about a vocabulary lesson, a philosophy class, or a psychology class. I want to clarify some things that were mentioned. I'm looking at the applicant's hours and days of operation. Unless things have changed from the information that we have in writing, it said regular operating hours, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 p.m., Saturday, 10 to 3. I also live by the school and see kids walk by every day. We also have late starts. We have early releases. We have field trips. We have people coming from Dickinson to go visit Foxview. We've got sporting events. We've got choir. We've got band. We've got trips to the Mulva Center directly across from the applicant's proposed business. I guess that's all I have.
Thank you.
That's the one. Okay, that's a good year.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, I am Summer Walgate. I live at 2038 Memorial Drive in Howard. I'm just speaking because I work with Dan almost every single day. We work at Cabela's, and he may not work in the gun department anymore. He got moved to hunting, but he's now entrusted with our bows and our crossbows, which at my work we are considered on par with our guns. They get checked in the same way and are brought back the same way. And I would trust no one more than our veterans. I grew up in a military house. I grew up on a military base with my father, who is a war veteran. And at my work, we have multiple veterans. I wouldn't trust anyone more than our veterans to own a business with our firearms, who are trained by our government to protect us in our country or outside of our country. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else in person wish to speak? Oh, I think there's one more over here and then, okay, thanks. Please state your name and address.
My name is Megan Wood-Bolin. I live at 621 South Michigan Street, approximately 3 blocks from this proposed business. I, like Lori, was not planning on speaking, but the thought occurred to me that I don't think we are concerned about the owner of the business. I think we are concerned about the people coming to the business because of the schools and because of the environment that there are shootings like, it seems like flags are always at half-mast right now because someone has been killed or assassinated or whatever. And the other thing is, if he is, like, if he already can do his job at Cabela's, why doesn't he just do it there? Why does he have to be in a neighborhood? That's my concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. If you want the rest of your 2 minutes, I guess. Could you just state your name and address, though, again, please?
Matt Weary from 615 Lewis Street.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to reiterate that this is about the strangers coming into the community. It's not about the person itself. I have high respect for veterans. My father was a vet. My stepson is in the service. My cousin's in the service. I totally respect and trust him. I don't trust the people that are coming around. You don't know who Joe Schmo is. This whole thing about you don't know if one car driving by has a concealed gun or whatnot, that's false. That is totally foolish. We're talking about a gun shop being opened, gunsmith, whatever it is, being opened by a couple of schools and a church. We're not talking about somebody driving down the street past a wherever. You know, everybody has concealed carry. Not everybody, a lot of people do. To think of it that way is kind of foolish. It's about the strangers. It's not about him. It sounds like most of us completely trust him. And that's just what I wanted to make sure that understands is it's about the strangers, not about him. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else in person? How about virtually? I think one person at least wanted to speak virtually. You go ahead and unmute your mic if you still would like to speak.
Yes, I would like to speak.
All right, you can go ahead and state your name and address for us, please.
My name is Tammy Matson. I live at W1476 Northwoods Lane. I live in Michigan. And what I would like to say is the fact that being close to the school, what kind of ally would you want other than a veteran that has fought to support and save our country? They are taught when they're going in the service how to read people. Dan would be able to see pretty much what kind of people that are coming into his shop. Most of the time, it's with rifles for hunting. It's not AK-47s. It's not pistols that can shoot multiple rounds that would hurt anybody. And if he lives close by that school, don't you think he would be the first one there if he heard a gunshot to protect our children?
What if somebody from Michigan
I live in the country. We are all about hunting. I taught my children young
We need to give everybody a
what a gun is and never to point it towards a person. And even if it's unloaded, and it's never loaded when children have them, unless you're out there hunting with them. Dan was taught the same thing. He is not going to fix somebody's pistol that seems shifty to him. He knows how to defend, I can't even say it right now, but anyway, he's able to pick out people that are shifty and not shifty. He learned that when he was in the service. You can tell by their eyes. I work at the VA hospital.
You have 30
And-
seconds left.
All right, well, the safest person to have in your area right now with a school and a church is Dan Farnsworth. Period. And he's not going to help somebody that, with their gun, if he is concerned about their mental stability.
All right, thank you for your comments. Is there anybody else virtually that would like to speak? I can't see the screen. Can you put the people back just so we can see if anybody unmutes their mic? Anyone else wish to speak that is virtual? Final call. I know that the applicant signed up on the sign-in sheet and had indicated that maybe you wanted to speak at the end. Are you still interested in speaking during the public comment period?
I'll speak towards the end.
So not during, I mean, I think this is the end of public comment, so if you'd like to come forward and speak now.
Somebody back there would like to speak.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's one other person that still would like to speak. Do you want to wait? Okay, I apologize. I did not see you.
It's okay.
Okay, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hi, I am Johnny Weary. I live at 615 Lewis Street. Sorry, I'm nervous. I used to live at 225 South Michigan Street, so I've been in the neighborhood for over 20 years. My son grew up there. I have my grandchildren over. I guess the whole thing is, like everybody has covered, it is not about the person. He's going about it the right way. He's a veteran. Totally respect that. But it's the day and age, and it's not about common sense. It's about feeling safe and secure, and we're not getting any of that from anyone around us, and we have to bring it on ourselves. So if something comes in that makes us feel unsafe, that it's just like ruffling our feathers, and we're just concerned. I'm used to a safe, quiet neighborhood, and I'm scared that it's going to change. I guess my thing, the last lady that talked, she's from Michigan. She didn't state who she was. If she's family, I'm sorry, but I don't know where she belongs talking in this. But if she's family, I understand. There was something else I was going to cover. I guess is basically everything that everybody said. And another topic, because I've been in the neighborhood for so long, like someone had mentioned, he didn't come to any of his neighbors, his new neighbors. I know that they just moved in. He didn't come to any of us and try to get to know us, try to present this. He is doing it the right way by presenting it with you guys, but he didn't try to present it with who is going to be affected. So I guess that is also another concern of mine. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Don't want to miss anybody. Okay.
I already spoke. I did say my name was Tammy Matson.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. All right, would the applicant like to come forward? I think everyone's spoken. And please state your name and address for the record.
Yep. So my name is Daniel Farnsworth. I live at 600 Lewis Street. So I just want to kind of caveat what everyone said. First off, biggest thing is safety, right? I served at Fort Hood, Texas. I don't know if any of you guys, you can raise your hand if you want if you served in the military. I've been shot at, okay? I've seen a lot of death in my life of 27 years. So I take safety very seriously. The other thing too is, everyone talks about the kids walking by and everything else, right? Okay, since we're talking about safety, because I like to have my facts in order before I come to things, right? Learned that in the military, talking to generals and higher ups and everything. There are 58 sex offenders Some of them have very serious, multiple crimes that live close to the schools, and I have the printout right here, which you guys can have after this. Now, to the gentleman that spoke before, and I will make this well known. If you trespass on my property or harass me, there will be legal consequence that comes from it. I own that property.
I'm sorry, everybody needs to be quiet, please.
Can he explain who he's talking to? Your neighbors? He's threatening somebody. No.
No, they were not threatening at all.
Can you continue, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
The biggest thing, right, it's fear-mongering is what it is. Okay, I have the training. My family has done it for generations. My great-grandfather did it in Hayward, Wisconsin. I have the signs above my door because I'm proud of our history as my family. Now, I'm going to tell you something very personal to me, and this happened while I was deployed on my birthday. Okay? If someone wants to harm somebody, they're going to find any ways to do it, right? On my birthday, my cousin stabbed my uncle to death and maimed my aunt. She survived. He was mentally psychotic. He got 8 years down in Madison, the mental institution. And that is it. My grandmother worked at one in Michigan, back home in the UP. When they let everybody out, crime rate tripled overnight. It is not a gun issue. It is a mental health problem.
Would you like to address any of the questions that people brought up about the conditional use and having customers coming and going from your residence?
Yeah, that's fine.
Because that is what we're here to discuss tonight.
With all due respect, ma'am, it did not sound like that about three-quarters of the
And
way
we have
through.
to let everybody speak what they would like to say, and you're also welcome to do that as well. I just want to make sure that we realize
No,
that's
that's
what
fine.
we're voting on tonight.
So for the conditional use permit, right, for customers coming to and from my door, I'm going to be alerted when they're going to come to my house, okay? At that point in time, I will tell them which point of entry is going to come in for that point in time, okay? Now, my hours of operation will probably change to less than hours. It all just kind of depends. You know, I got to see with traffic flow and everything else. But my biggest thing, right, is the ATF is going to come, and I've been in contact with the agent that I've been dealing with regularly about everything, and they're just waiting for the conditional use permit to come through, and then he's going to come to the property and do my inspections, which they do very regularly.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to address?
Nope, that's about it. That's all I had to say.
Right.
But, well, one more thing. But seriously, though, if we're going to talk about the safety aspect of it, and kids walking around, but there's 58 sex offenders between all three schools, plus more, with some very serious violent crimes, and you guys are worried about me?
All right. I'm going to close the public hearing now.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm closing the public hearing, and I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
To go back to order, right?
No, we didn't,
No,
no,
close
this is
the
the motion
hearing.
to approve.
No, the hearing's closed.
I closed the hearing. We don't need to vote on that.
You need to do a motion to approve.
So we need a motion and a second to discuss this item further.
I make a motion to approve. I'll second.
All right, motion by Alderperson Carpenter, seconded by Alderperson P-Rock. Discussion. Dan, are there any questions that were asked by the audience that you could address?
Yeah, I will start to go through them. Joanne, you feel free to kind of hit on your notes too. I'll leave the state and federal kind of impacts to the city attorney, and I will address on the conditional use components to this one as well. So as we get towards, it was talked about during the Plan Commission meeting, there was a lot of additional statements, the I wills, above and beyond what the minimum requirements are. And as it was brought up, Alderperson Hanson, you had a great question of if you violate any of those additional I wills, would you be non in compliance with the conditional use permit? One of those things is the hours of operation. The hours of operation isn't a requirement to be listed. It's an additional thing that they've done to provide to this one. So if those hours of operations deviate from that one, no matter the type of business, it wouldn't be a violation of the conditional use, which is for the customers, not the general business itself. That's related to the general business itself or a type A home occupation. I just want to touch base on that one. Also with the conditional use and in the draft resolution, if the council moves forward with it today, there's the blanket statement of compliance with all state and federal regulations. One of those is the licensing requirements. And as staff has documentation from ATF that they are waiting for the result of this meeting before they go and spend time to go through the next steps of the process for finalizing their license. And so again, without having those components, we did notify them that the home-based business can operate without this conditional use permit. They have still requested to find the results of this meeting first at that time. So that's what we found on those components. As we work through other components, there's a lot that are related to the gun safe school zone. So again, I will kind of defer to the city attorney on those ones, but I'll jump in where we can. The concerns for being a proactive approach to it versus a complaint-based approach. We have a standard set policy in the city to be a complaint-based approach, and that would be no different from here. And so again, we would have the conditional use, we'd have the standards in the conditional use, and if we were to receive a complaint, we will then evaluate that complaint or its components. If that complaint is to be directed at a different department or a different agency, we would do that at that time. But again, we are evaluating it for the conditional use as it relates to the customers coming to the site. And again, I'm trying to reiterate to that component. Let's see here. I'm trying to get to the actual, from the questions. I know there was a lot of statements, but I'm trying to find the questions. Let's see. Relating to the question about the addressing, what was asked on the application versus what is on the conditional use in the agenda. 600 Lewis Street is also what's in the draft resolution, and that would be what is being applied for. We have applicants on a regular basis have the wrong property identification number or wrong address. That doesn't negate somebody from having an application. We clarified that right on the front end of this process. But we didn't want to also change their application for them. Related to the concern about the size of it, we did get confirmation, and again, public listings are showing that home is about 1,100 square feet. We did get confirmation that they would be below that 25% or below 275 square feet. The applicant has stated that they are going to be around 200 square feet for their workshop space. So again, that is something that is in our standards that we can investigate. So they've made that statement. They will be below it. If we have a verification or complaint that is beyond that one, we will then evaluate it at that time. See. A concern with the owner. Person. I'm trying to keep my responses back to what is the actual conditional use or the customers coming to the site, and in addition to concerns about the actual operation and what would be impacted by the set criteria in the zoning code. Have I missed anything from the council's perspective that I didn't respond to from specifically to the home-based occupation customer component?
Yeah, Dan, you mentioned compliance with all state and federal laws. That was a requirement of the Plan Commission.
Mm-hmm.
Can you point where in the resolution it has that language, though?
Here's good question. Good catch. You have a draft revision that staff added. It's not in your packet, but the one that we wanted to bring up tonight is their compliance with all the requirements of the municipal code was in your packet. We have one drafted and it now says state and federal requirements.
That's what I was going to ask to be added.
State and local
it just says the local,
yep.
Chapter 14.
Yep. Carrie made that, or Angela made that change today.
Mm-hmm. So we will need a motion to amend at some point to add that additional language into the resolution. But the draft has been updated from staff's perspective.
All right. Any other questions or comments from the council?
Does the city attorney have any other comments?
Sure. Yep. I can follow up on a couple points that came up. So also kind of pulling from what I had shared with council in my email to you all regarding tonight's hearing. Again, what the item that's up for approval is not a rezone. I did hear that come up. It's specifically a conditional use to allow the on-site in-person retail visits. So that's what's up for discussion. That's what's up for approval. It's not the underlying activity of gun repair or gunsmithing. So as far as the federal and state statutes relating to firearms and regulation of firearms, the condition in the conditional use permit that provides that the applicant has to abide by all, not just the zoning ordinance, but all local and state ordinances, includes the gun-free school zones and any applicable federal licensing pursuant to the ATF and federal regulations. So while they're not specifically called out, because they're not in our zoning code, that's a catch-all, meaning that the applicant has to abide by all laws. And as far as the licensing goes, I think there was a comment about the applicant currently doesn't have a license. The section that was called out is actually applies to licenses and permits that the city issues with respect to liquor licensing and other types of licenses under Chapter 106. The standards that need to be applied in this particular situation is under our zoning code in Chapter 40. And that standard is that the applicant either meets or agrees to meet. And accordingly, at this point, they are agreeing to meet the standard, which requires the ATF licensing. And as Dan indicated, the process by which the ATF does that is the conditional use is approved first, and then the ATF does their site visits before they approve the license. But if at any time the applicant does not have a valid license, then that would be a basis upon which the conditional use can be revoked. And additionally, if there is, firearm sales or gunsmithing or firearm activity occurring without the appropriate licensing, that would be subject to criminal and law enforcement action. At that point, it wouldn't be there wouldn't be oversight from a zoning perspective or from an inspections perspective. That would only be limited to the conditional use. The activity itself would be subject to law enforcement action at that point.
So just a quick clarification question on that. So you're saying that there wouldn't be a purpose to put in a stipulation saying that the conditional use permit cannot be exercised until he gets his federal firearm license?
Correct, because the zoning code provides that either the applicant meets or agrees to meet the following conditions. And so long as those things are sufficient, then there is no basis upon which to deny the CUP.
But if he gets the CUP and starts having these on-site customer visits without his FFL, he would be in violation of federal law. And the
Federal and state law.
Federal and
correct.
state law and the conditional use permit requires that he's be abiding by
Correct,
it.
and then that would be grounds for the conditional use to be revoked at that point. Basically, he doesn't need to have the license before he gets the conditional use.
Right.
How do we follow up with the rest?
With what specifically?
Making sure that he finishes the license and the application?
Essentially, that is within the purview and jurisdiction of the ATF. We don't have any oversight over that.
Alderperson Carpenter.
Yes, I have a couple of questions. Did the ATF give a reason why they're waiting on our decision before they make their visit? I mean, no reason whatsoever.
Nope.
Okay. And then when the ATF does come and do their inspection, if we approve or don't approve, does the ATF give the city the report to the city after the inspection? Do we get any information from them? Because I gotta assume they're gonna verify everything. do we get any of that information back?
Zoning, Planning and Zoning Development Services Department would not. You'd have to, I'd defer to the police department for anything else, but they may have background checks and other stuff that they're doing, but as far as planning and zoning, no.
Okay, I was just wondering, once they go through that, if somebody in the city gets that. Okay.
My understanding is that the applicant, once the license is received, there's a requirement to provide a copy or notification to the chief law enforcement official, which could either be our chief of police or it could be the Brown County Sheriff's Office.
Okay, and then I know there was this things that we have to make amendment to the resolution. Can somebody tell me which page that we'd have to make amendment to? Is this the proper paper where I'm looking?
No, the actual resolution that was in your packet, if you move forward with it.
Okay.
Item,
we got so many different things here now, so I've gone
item
through
number
this, and
5.
I'm just trying to make sure I'm crossing all my T's here.
I can read out that language too once we get to that point, if that's helpful.
Because I was going to make a motion to amend, so I want to know what I'm making a motion to amend to, if you could put it up on the screen or something, or.
You want to make that motion now?
Yes, that's what I was going to do,
Can you, I have it up.
before it goes to.
It's page 64.
You would amend item number 5 for compliance with all requirements of Chapter 14 to pure municipal code and all state and local laws and regulations.
State and federal.
Wait. Federal. I got the wrong copy here, I think. The one you sent me says local.
It's
All state and federal laws and regulations.
Okay, then that's a motion I will make.
All right, I'll second that motion. Can we vote on that now?
Yes. Okay, there was a motion and a second.
Yeah, all in favor of amending the resolution to include the state and federal laws and regulations, say aye.
Question quick.
Oh, sorry.
Aye.
Go ahead.
So the local regulations, that's completely covered by Chapter 14?
And our municipal code, yeah,
Yeah.
any other elements that would apply of our code
Okay.
beyond just the zoning. Mhm.
Sorry. Any other discussion on the amendment to the resolution? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, motion carries to amend the resolution. Any other discussion on the original motion? Yes, Alderperson Hanson.
Can staff perform an on-site inspection to verify the workshop does not exceed 200 square feet in order to comply with the home-based regulations, home-based business regulations?
So we have not in the past. Now, that being said, is if we were to receive a complaint, we would then go through this process that check off all of these boxes. That's how we go through it, no matter if it's a gunsmithing or somebody doing multi-tiered marketing or somebody doing a home occupation, home office, or anything else like that. We follow the same process for everybody to make sure that we're affording everybody due process. So until we receive something that says they are potentially against that one, that's how we go through it. Again, it's the state law that says they will, or they have, or they will comply with those requirements. That gives us where we're at.
And I assume the same would apply for the gun safe and biometric lock being installed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The question was brought up about the transporting of the guns and needing to be in a case. So he is within 100 feet of Notre Dame School.
1,000.
So if the guns are not being encased when they're being brought there, I presume he would be in violation of the gun-free school zone state statute, in which case he wouldn't be following state law. So would that be grounds to potentially revoke the CUP?
So that violation would be on the person possessing the firearm, not the CUP holder, not the applicant. So it's the person that's possessing the gun. So the Gun-Free School Zone Act provides that you can't carry or possess knowingly a firearm either on school grounds or within 1,000 feet unless it's either racked, unloaded, or in a case. And then in further, the Code of Federal Regulations provides an exemption that the Gun-Free School Zone Act doesn't apply to firearm possession within private property not belonging on school grounds.
Mm-hmm. And ATF does define when possession changes hands in their reporting requirements.
Correct.
So there's a determining factor of when the the firearm becomes in the gunsmith's possession, and when it gets transferred back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we would have to potentially take action against the customer, essentially.
And that would be no different than anybody coming to and from their hunting camp or anybody else.
Correct. And that, again, that would be a law enforcement issue. Correct.
Any other questions, comments? I mean, I'll speak and just share with all of you that I share all of your concerns. I really do. And I was really hoping that the applicant would come forward and reassure his neighbors instead of threatening them or whatever. I was disappointed in that. I'm also disappointed to hear that maybe you haven't been responsive to your neighbors when they've reached out to you to talk to you about this. You know, I think it's pretty clear here that our hands are tied and we don't have any jurisdiction over the business type or the conditional use, approving the conditional use. And that's really disappointing to me because this is something I feel very strongly we should, as a council, have some say in. And that's just me speaking. I think that others here probably feel the same way, and I'll, you know, let others speak. But I think everyone's concern here, sir, is not with you. It is with the customers coming and going. And I do want to speak to your sex offender comment because I thought about that myself as well. And the thing about sex offender registry is that we know where all of the sex offenders live. They're registered at their addresses. We can talk to our children about those people, can point out the houses that they live in, and we can educate them. We can't do that with the customers that are coming and going from your business. And more than one person here has stated that they are very comfortable with you running your business. They're uncomfortable with the fact that people are going to be coming and going, and we don't know who they are, and we don't know what they might do. And I think it's a really valid concern. I think it's unfair to call people irrational when we're talking about gun safety, and our schools and our churches being in such close proximity this day and age. I think that's irrational to say that we shouldn't be concerned about that. And that's my thoughts. And I feel horrible that we have this public hearing where it appears to everyone that we have any say over this matter, because we don't. Our hands are tied, and I really do appreciate all of you coming to speak and all of the emails that we received and the letters that we received. That's really important to me that you all provided your feedback, so thank you for that.
How can a vote be wrong?
We're not open right now, so we can't. Does anyone else wish to speak? Sure. Alderperson Kundinger?
Again, thank you for coming. Having the public show up and speak on both halves, especially De Pere residents who live here and work here and chose to have their lives here. It's important to show up, and it does matter. We are voting on a stipulation that is being followed, and that is where we have to focus on for tonight's vote. That does not mean that we don't hear you and share many of the same concerns. I too want people to know that they can talk to their neighbors, and when their neighbors say that they're going to follow up and talk to others, that they will do that. And I share many of the same sentiments.
Thank you. Alderperson Carpenter?
Yes, I share the same views. I understand all these people's concern. And as a military person, I'm just going to side with this. We can all praise all the military people we want, but there's a lot of people in our society that have I'm not going to say the proper word, but are not stable people. And it's very unfortunate. And just like she said, I think maybe he could have reached out farther to other people and everything else. I wouldn't have said comments he made here tonight, but our hands are tied. I don't own a gun myself, and I'm not against guns. I'm not against anything. I just think our hands are tied. And some people in this audience are going to say, We can vote no. I don't know how far a lawsuit you want a city to carry, because that's where we'll be held. We'll be held in a lawsuit that's gonna cost us a lot of money. So I do feel for you people, and I understand it, and you don't know anybody that's walking on the streets today. I have changed my lifestyle so much. How I watch out for things, where I go, when I go. If I go to an establishment, I make sure I know where the exit is. If I see something foolish going on, I know where I'm heading. And that's too sad that we live in a society like that. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Alderperson Hanson?
Yeah, just building on those comments, I really appreciate all the constituents. This is my district that have reached out to me. I certainly sympathize with their concerns. As I mentioned, the Plan Commission, I wish we could make a decision based on community feedback, the general concerns of the neighborhood, whether we think the business is a good fit for the neighborhood. But unfortunately, that state statute from 2017 has just removed that discretion from us. A lot of state legislators in Madison claim to espouse local control, and I believe these kind of statutes do not uphold local control. They fundamentally infringe upon our ability to make decisions based on feedback from our constituents, and I think that's very unfortunate. It puts us in a very kind of rigid view of how to look at this. So I do believe we have to abide by state law. We have to look at it within the narrow confines established by the statute. But like you said, Alderperson Ledvina, I wish we had more discretion to be able to make decisions based on the concerns of the neighborhood. And I would urge residents to contact their state legislators to try to give local control back to municipal governments so that we do have more ability to act upon what our constituents want. So,
Thank you. Alderperson Gantz?
I also would like to thank everybody for coming out, for your letters, your calls, your texts, sharing your concerns. We do hear you, and we have been working hard on this, trying to find a way. Unfortunately, we cannot do anything. I would encourage Dan to maybe meet with your neighbors, maybe try to get to know them. Maybe if they know you, they'll feel better and more safe and less scared. And that would be my suggestion to you. I would encourage everybody who came out to get a hold of your state legislators, like Jonathan said, and try to encourage them to change the laws so that we can do something locally, because I think things would have been a different way. But thank you very much, and please keep reaching out, and please, you know, if you see anything, if you hear anything, please report it, and we'll do our best at that point. Thank you.
Anyone else up here? Alderperson Nelson, he's virtual tonight. Is there anything you would like to add? I can't see this screen. Sorry. He's here.
No, I think I think what has been said, I definitely agree with. I think it's unfortunate that we don't have a lot of say over this, like has been said. But yeah, I think our hands are tied. So yeah, thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. All right, with that said, we have a motion and a second on the table. It is a roll call vote.
Alderperson Essercon?
Aye.
Gantz?
Aye.
Hanson?
Aye.
Kundiger? Ledvina?
Aye.
Nelson?
Aye.
Erock?
Aye.
Carpenter?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Item number 6, public comment upon matters not on the agenda. Comments made during the public comment period shall pertain only to matters under the jurisdiction of the Common Council. Does anybody have anything? Anybody virtually have any public comment upon matters not on the agenda? All right, moving on. Item number 7, recommendation from the Board of Public Works on approval of conventional water rate application for expense depreciation.
Need a motion? I'll
Do we
make a
need
motion to
them?
approve. Or no? What is it?
No, because you don't know what you're approving yet.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was watching.
I'll tell you that right now. It's two different things we can approve here.
Okay.
Leave it at that for you.
No.
I'm gonna tell you that right now. I was watching before you go there.
Do you have the slide?
Slides?
That slide up there. Who's reading it?
Right here.
You got it. Okay. Great.
Are you doing
Okay,
a
that was
presentation?
just already. So, what we got before you tonight is kind of, present the, the water rate study case we're working on. As you recall, we hired Onward Accounting and Consulting LLC this summer to work on a rate case. We have Ginny here from Onward Accounting and Consulting to help present and answer any questions. Basically, what she's doing is filing a rate case with the Public Service Commissions to basically have the PSC determine what rates are adequate for our water utility to actually look at our debt requirements and fund project capital water main replacements in the future. As you recall, over the years, our water utility has gone in a negative balance, for numerous years. A lot of that has to do, and I looked it up today on it, from 2012 through 19, we actually focused on our sewer rate increases. We actually increased approximately 63% on our sewer rates. So we didn't do anything on the water rates until from 2011, and our next increase was, I believe, 2019.
21.
Or 21, thank you. So as Ginny was looking through our water rate case, we're going to go through the rate case and actually look at borrowing $1 million annually to cover our water main replacement. So with that increase, we were looking at, that would fund our capital projects. It'd be an ongoing thing. Right now, we actually have borrowed, actually a resolution that was passed by council where the water utilities now got a debt payback to the general fund as well as the sewer utility. And then in 2025, we took out $1 million for water main replacement. And in 26, we plan on doing the same thing accordingly. So during the process of looking at, the Public Service Commission has done a few rate cases over the few years where what they call expense depreciation. And what that means is they actually set the rates to actually cash fund our water main replacements versus actually borrowing the debt. So when you look at the two things I actually have up on the screen, if we did the expense depreciation, our estimated increase would be, just under 19%. If we actually looked at debt financing, the initial year for 2026 would be a little over a 5% increase. One of the things I do want to clarify, the staff actually recommended to the consultant to pursue, the expense depreciation. And a large part of this, as we go through the slides, is eventually the actually water utility be debt-free. So what we have in front of you is one of the things that kind of compare the expense depreciation versus actually the debt financing. So our initial year in 27, like I said, we're just under 19%. With the debt financing, we'd be just over 5%. Then we're, moving forward for the expense depreciation, we wouldn't have to do anything but a simplified rate increase in 29. And then actually, if we did the debt financing, we'd have to do another full rate increases. What we have in front of you is a 20-year projection, kind of looking at a 20-year plan as far as where you see the rates going. Eventually, with debt, the debt expense depreciation versus the debt financing, ultimately in 20 years, the actually debt financing is a much larger increase in the rates. So what we have, I apologize, it's tough to read on the screen here, but we have the cash funding versus debt financing. You can see the differences in the initial 27 estimate that actually if we did the expense depreciation at a 19% increase versus the a little over 5, we'd be roughly $18 a quarter more a year, or that comes out to just over $6 a month. What's that? Yeah, and that's based on the average. Thank you. Based on the average. And then the next slide actually shows the cash funding versus debt funding the main replacement. As you can see in 2039, our utility is debt free. In 2039 for the debt funding, we'd be a little over $10 million in debt. And by year 2046, 20 years out, we'd be over $12 million in debt, and that'd be ongoing. So kind of the cash funding versus debt financing is the debt financing, the biggest pro is it's lower rates at the beginning. Ultimately, over 20 years, it'll be higher. The con for debt financing, the issuance of costs and interest expenses causes rates to increase higher than cash funding over time. The con is intergenerational equity burdening users in later years with a large amount of debt. And then the other con is increased debt could cause a potential negative impact to the overall city's bond rating and result in less stable financial position in the city overall. The cash funding, the biggest is the only con really is the higher rates at the beginning. The pro is there's no additional finance charges resulting in lower rates over time. The intergenerational equity is the early years. And then the water utility basically by 2036 would be out of debt. We did actually look at, we do have a slide in here presenting what some of the other utilities are, going through. I did look up, there's several in the Brown County area that actually, have water rate utilities, rate cases before them. If we did the 19% increase with the expense depreciation, we'd be at $163, so we'd be one of the highest. Right now, we know Bellevue's in October, they're going up roughly 29%. The actual Pulaski Water Department, actually just under 39% effective last month, and then over 26, they could potentially go up as high as another 75% to pay for projects. And I did look at some research. Swamico's got a pending case, and they're pushing 70%. We do know Village of Alloway is going to be a significant increase. That's pending in the PSC, as well as the Freedom Sanitary District got a major water increase going on. Oops. I know we have our consultant on board answered a lot of financial questions, but really is, the staff's recommendation is also with the board is to pursue the rate case with the expense depreciation. Ultimately, the Public Service Commission sets the rate. They'll determine which route is best for the water utility. Once they set that rate, then, really the council or even the Board of Public Works has no say in that rates they set.
Okay, Alderperson Hanson.
Scott, can you talk about Green Bay's water rates being so much lower than ours? I know it has to do with the debt that had be taken out to create the Central Brown County Water Authority system, but that's a question I get a lot from residents.
It's a very good question. Unfortunately, many years ago, 25 plus years ago, decision was made to go with the Central Brown County Water Authority. When we went with the Water Authority, all the communities in the area significantly increased their rates. Right now, what basically funds the actual rate for the water authority we buy the wholesale water from them, but we're funding 75. I want to say, actually, I take that back. It's almost 80% of what we pay in rate is for their debt funding for roughly $125 million project. Now their bonds will be paid for in another, I think, 2035. We did verify that with our water authority manager. So, we could see a significant decrease in the actual rates, after that. Unfortunately, because Green Bay doesn't have all the infrastructure that we had to put in for the water authority, they don't have the debt that's being financed. And that's strictly what De Pere and all the other member communities are paying for, is that debt. I know, like I mentioned earlier, we're looking at, probably a decrease in rates, at least from the water authority, potentially up to 25%, by 2036, just because, that debt, what we're financing, will be paid for.
I could chime in too. I'll just make a note on that. The Central Brown County Water Authority just released their 26 budget, and their rates actually went down quite a bit because they are financially, they're picking up, I think they picked up Denmark. So once Denmark gets on, I think they just started in 25. So they're looking at the rates are going down, which will stabilize your rates from going up.
So regardless of the cash funding or debt funding option, we have these numbers about projected where the rates are going to be at in 2039, 2046. That could be different though once the debt's paid off for the infrastructure to create Central Brown County. Okay, so I just think, it's important to acknowledge that.
And if I could just add to that, those 3%, we go out to 10 years where you see, we may not see a need for, those simplified rate increases, or even, on the debt side of it, 10 years out.
Yeah, and the department, obviously looks at their cash flows every year when they do their budgeting. So it's a fluid document. We obviously don't have a crystal ball. You're going out 20 years with the data we know today. And that is what the other 4 utilities also presented to the PSC. They went out 20 years to show the intergenerational equity because that did exist. So the cash flow funding, presents that you will be able to stabilize the rates better than debt because you're basically almost doubling or you're making 50% of your payments on the principal in interest. So if you have $1 million of principal payments every year, your interest is almost $600,000. If you're debt funding, every year $1 million.
Okay.
Dan.
Oh, Alderperson Carpenter.
Could we put up the screen where you had those two values, like the increases, where what Jonathan was just talking about a minute ago? I think that might be the same screen that I'm looking for.
This one?
Yes, that one right there. So you're talking 2035, that number could actually change on the cash funding because of the, or 2036, because of the authority.
Correct.
So that's not a actual true number that could change. Once again, you can't plan.
Correct.
But I'm just saying. And I just want to state the reason I'm in favor of this. You borrow and borrow, it'd be like taking a 30-year mortgage on your home, and then every 10 years, you refinance 30 years again. So then another 10 years, you refinance. And you do that 3 times, and you got a 60-year, 90-year mortgage now, and you never have it paid off. This is a utility. It should fund itself. And and all of us, I shouldn't say all, I personally wanted to retire, so I funded myself that I could retire. So I think the water utility, you can go either way on this whole thing. You can always want to be in debt, or you can try to get out of debt. And I think the water utility should try to get out of debt, get our debt paid off, and the rates will come down. Won't be in my lifetime, but it will be in my children's.
It's so thoughtful of you.
Well, I don't think I'm going to live that many years. I'm going to be pretty old, though I look young.
Sure do.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions? Alderperson Hanson.
Yeah, I agree that there are long-term benefits to this cash funding model. What I struggle with, though, is where water rates are at currently is one of the biggest concerns I hear from residents. And a 19% increase next year would then become the new baseline going forward. Residents would also have to wait 13 years until 2039 before they see any savings on the water rates, and even then it's $5 less per quarter. It does become more substantial 20 years out. But I just don't know if this is the best time to have such a large increase. Inflation's been significant the last few years. Cost of living is still very high. People have seen their home assessments go up in recent years. I just would like to see maybe a larger discussion and more time to explore other alternatives where we can address the debt, particularly the interfund loan transfers to the general fund and the wastewater utility. So I would be in favor of just doing the standard rate case now, reevaluating in a couple years. If we do some things to try to pay down the interfund loan transfers, maybe we could look at cash funding a couple years from now, and it wouldn't lead to such a big one-time increase of 19%. So I'm just not comfortable with that big increase next year. So
Thank you. I voted in favor of the cash funding scenario at Public Works to move it forward. I still think that that's the way that I would vote if, we took a vote on it today. My concern is that I don't know how residents feel because I haven't heard anything from anybody on this. We just got this presented to us a little over a week ago at the Board of Public Works.
Yeah.
It hasn't been in the media from what I know. I haven't heard any reach out from constituents. So I would personally be in favor of tabling it just to give it some time for people to hear more about it and learn more about it before we make any decisions on it, and maybe to bring forward some other alternatives or, like you mentioned, maybe different scenarios. But that's just my opinion. Alderperson Carpenter.
So this would be a question to whoever it may be. If it gets tabled, can we table this? We got to go for some type of rate increase here somewhere. So
Correct.
We hired a consultant, and I don't recall what we put in the budget for hiring a consultant. May I ask what this is going to cost us at the end?
I think right now it's their contracts around just under 10.
$10,000. And I mean, once again, if you want to kick the can down the road, as we look up there, we're going to see paying the consultant for that 6%. Then we can do the 3%, and then we're going to pay the consultant again for that other 6% because you can't go, we only can do 3% increments. So every time you see 6% on the bottom line, you just kick the can down the road a little bit more and you're costing us more money. I guess there's no right or wrong. I'm not going to say that, but I think we should move forward.
Kim will address the.
I can speak a little bit to kind of ramifications on table versus vote today. We talked about that a little bit internally, and certainly whatever path we choose, we want to get to the PSC in a timely manner, be it a standard rate case or expense depreciation. That said, our next council meeting is in a few weeks in November, and if that gives a little bit of time and space, that's not going to dramatically alter the PSC schedule one way or another. So while I think we as staff certainly seek your guidance on whatever decision is made, giving it a little bit of time is completely fine, but we don't want to be we really like to be talking about this in November and be ready in November if that's possible.
Okay, thank you. Alderperson Gantz.
Can I ask the consultant, and I don't have your name, I'm sorry, but.
It's Ginny.
Thank you. What is your recommendation?
You could go either route. It's totally up to the council. What I am doing when I came in 2 years ago, I have done a lot of your rate increases. I used to work for Clifton Larson Allen, your audit firm. So I did a lot of your sewer rate studies, water rate studies over the years. So I did the one in 24, and at that time, the percentage was what, Scott, 9 or 10? And, internally, the current city manager and staff were thinking it was just not enough to help fund and get them out of this deficit, and they were looking for other options. At that time, we had consulted with the Public Service Commission, and they had told us about this methodology, the new methodology of expense depreciation. So this year, when I did the rate study and I came up with the 5%, Scott and Pam and I were talking, and we said, well, we should look at both options, just to see what they offer, and we could provide it to the council. And I just think I really would not recommend one way or the other. I think it's basically your decision. And internally, I think your staff recommends it, and that's what they would like to see. But I don't want to speak for Scott, but I think that's, so you could do either one. If you do go with the debt financing, as Alderman Carpenter said, you will do a conventional rate case, and you typically hire a consultant to do that. When you do the 3%, those are simplified. They are so simple, they take literally like 2 minutes just to download the data from the PSC website, and then you just upload it to the PSC to submit an application. So you guys can do that internally at no cost. So, you know, if you are doing the cash funding, overall, the PSC also does charge you for these rate cases. So I just had a client, I think it was about $62 that they were charged for the simplified, and it is anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 that they charge over and above my charge when they review a conventional rate case. So you're looking at over $10,000 every time you do a conventional rate case. So just some additional information to help you make your decision.
Thank you.
Ginny, could I ask a question that might be a silly question, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. You know, on the chart there, you have the rate case in 2027. Regardless of cash funding versus debt funding, there's another change in 2029. Can you start with the simple debt financing now, and then in 2 years go back to the, like, say, no, we've changed our mind, we want to do the cash depreciation, or are you locked in if they choose this year?
If you do the debt financing, you just submit, that would be like a regular rate case. That's what we would submit. So the expense depreciation goes before the full Public Service Commission board. It's a very special rate case. It's only been done by 3 utilities. Madison is doing one right now. So only 3 utilities have gone through that process. That takes almost a full year because it's very intense. There's testimony, affidavits, and it's a new methodology, so it just takes longer. So that would probably cost more. If you do that, if you do the debt financing, and that would be the regular rate case, that would be 4 to 6 months. You can come back probably in 2 years. You're likely going to have to do another full rate case. At that point in time, you could decide to do the expense depreciation. Once you do the expense depreciation, though, we did talk to Kathy Butzloff at the PSC. She's the lead auditor. Once you have that, it's easy to add to it without doing another full rate case. You can just apply. So if your main infrastructure improvements are $1 million is what we're presenting, if Scott said in 5 years, well, the mains are now 1.2 million, you can do a submittal to the Public Service Commission to increase it as needed without doing another full expense depreciation rate case.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Alderperson Carpenter.
So if we table this and comes to the next meeting, because I think it has to be brought to the next meeting if something gets tabled, am I correct on that? Scott, could we, if that happens, can we have more information from the Central Brown County Water Authority of where we would stand maybe in 2035, 2036?
We did that before the meeting, and that's where we kind of indicated, our manager indicated that the debt will be paid off in 2035, and then that actually, so right now, we actually, for 26, we're going to pay the water authority based off our rates that just got approved by the water authority, roughly $3.3 million. So if we decreased our rates, what they would charge us in we start with a 2036 budget, it's going to decrease what we owe the water authority, or an expense, roughly about $800,000.
So them are all good numbers, don't get me wrong. And I'll put it in the facts up here on this sheet where it says the water rates would be at 183. If that debt's not there, what would that number be? That's the layman's terms. I'm sorry to say that. I can't do all the math.
We can add for the next council.
That's
meeting,
what
add a
I'm
slide
asking.
that has the information from this, just sort of an asterisk.
Yes.
I think we're just caveat to know where it gets complicated is they're also working on a 20-year model based on kind of a lot of assumptions. So, and we can list all those so you know what they are. As it stands today, they're anticipating about $1 rate decrease from today when that debt is paid off. But they're also based on a lot of assumptions like growth in certain water areas. I'm looking at my their purchase expense doesn't increase. If any of their factors change, then the rate changes as well.
So I will make a motion to table this, but I would like all this, if it's got to come in asterisk and everything, all that information be available to us at our next
Well,
meeting.
I can actually, if you think about it, if the purchase water cost goes down, it goes down for both scenarios. So
Right.
it would be the difference would be the same, if that would make sense. It would be, the dollars would change as far as, when you would need the rate cases. They would be maybe less often, but it would be less often under both scenarios.
So I understand they would go down on both of them. That
Right.
is, my point is, but at the end of the day, the scenario might be then not kicking the can down the road and let's just pay this debt off.
Must be a great pay.
It may not be. I guess I would like to see the numbers in the scenario, the best scenario you can put it. You can't project everything, but what you can project and put in asterisk, it would be nice to be able to look at.
Alderperson Gans.
Thank you. I also agreed to table it because it sounds like we have a lot of questions and we need
That would be a
more
second then.
information.
Yeah. Once we, I've been told it needs to be a motion to hold,
Okay, I will make a motion to hold.
That's
but I don't know that we can discuss anymore after we do that, can we?
Well,
Can we continue discussion
Yes.
after we make a motion to hold?
No.
Okay.
So that's,
so we'll
right.
wait.
So I don't know, does anybody else want to say anything or speak to not holding?
Yeah, I just had a question quick, if you can hear me okay. So my question was just about that list I think on the last slide. There are no other communities that are doing the debt appreciation or the expense depreciation currently, right? You said it's only like Madison and maybe one other community that's going that route?
Right now, Madison is the only other one. No one in the area has done it.
Gotcha. So the standard is to bond for it, but there's a kind of a new methodology or a new thought on to go to do the expense depreciation instead.
Yeah. So one of the questions, the other three, the first one to do it was Marshfield, so not really in our area.
Okay.
The second one was Fort Atkinson or Janesville, but Janesville and Fort Atkinson were the other two who have gone through this process. So.
Jenny,
Gotcha.
share?
Yeah, I mean, it makes it.
Go ahead,
Oh,
Alderperson
sorry.
Nelson.
I was just gonna say it makes a lot of sense I think it makes a lot of sense to me to pay for it now too. So I think that I do think it makes a lot of sense, but I agree with tabling it to get more information for next time. But I think it does make a lot of sense. I think it's a kind of a cool new way to look at it.
Yeah, thank you. Any other discussion or motion to hold?
I will make a motion to
A
hold
second.
if you're ready for it now.
Right, okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Oops, sorry. Motion carries. Thank you. See you next time, Jenny.
Sorry for dragging this out.
Sorry, Jenny. All right, we're on item number 8, recommendation for the Board of Public Works on an update to the neighborhood watch sign policy.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson Hanson, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Any discussion?
Dan had it.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Oops, sorry, Casey. Thank you. Item number 9, recommendation from the Board of Public Works to delay construction of a new West Side yard waste site.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson Carpenter, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Any discussion? Alderperson Hanson.
I'm okay with delaying it because I know we have to have continued conversations with the town of Lawrence, but I just want to state for the record, I strongly support the idea, in theory, of having a west side yard waste site. I think it'd be great to have one on both sides. The east side one is going to be smaller than the current site, so I think it would be good to have another one on the west side. So,
Thank you. Any other thoughts? No? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
This motion carries. Thank you. Item number 10, recommendation from the Board of Public Works on approving change order number 1 for project 25-02.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson Hanson, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Any discussion? If not, roll call vote, please.
Alderperson Gantz.
Aye.
Hanson,
Aye.
Coniger, Ledvina,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Rock,
Aye.
Carpenter,
Aye.
Ezra
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. Item 11, recommendation from Finance and Personnel Committee to approve the side letter of agreement with the De Pere Professional Firefighters Association, IAFF, Local 141, regarding overtime incentives.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Alderperson P-Rock, seconded by Alderperson Carpenter. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 12, recommendation from the Finance and Personnel Committee to approve side letter of agreement with De Pere Professional Firefighters Association, IAFF, Local 141, regarding Paramedic Reimbursement Program.
I'll move to approve. I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson Kundinger, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 13, recommendation from Finance Personnel Committee to approve the 2026 benefit renewal and plan design changes.
I'll move to approve. I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson Kundinger, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Any discussion? Alderperson Hanson?
Yeah, so I understand the whole concept of Gardner trying to direct people to what's described as high quality, cost efficient medical providers. But I'm just wondering how the reimbursement works, because like for a single person, the deductible would go from $2,000 to $5,000 next year, but then there's a Gardner reimbursement of $3,500. So how does that play into the deductible?
Sure. So good question. It applies to the entire out-of-pocket max. So essentially what would happen, just kind of walk through the process. If you get billed from, and that's kind of you're asking the process flow, you get billed from your provider. Typically you have a period of time in which you can pay that, but UMR, our third-party administrator, does notify Gardner right away, and then within a period of like 4 to 5 weeks, then the member gets reimbursed. So they're telling us in most situations, hopefully the member will not have to submit any dollars out of their own pocket. They can wait for the Gardner reimbursement. So with that, if they do use a top provider, then they would pay $500 less total out-of-pocket expenses for that period of time for that year. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so basically they could, let's see, about $1,500 out of pocket then?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Right now it's
Versus $2,000 deductible right now.
Correct. Right. So it's kind of a win-win for obviously the city plan. We would save money on if members use Gardner providers, and then the member would save money as well. And that's the reason that we're looking to implement Gardner.
The only concern I have though too is how restrictive is Gardner in terms of the networks? Because I don't want our employees to feel like they can't go to their doctors of choice because Gardner locks them in some very narrow list of providers.
Sure. No, certainly a good question as well. And certainly that's something that we've spent a lot of time working with our third-party administrator as well as Gardner looking at it. They've told us that 20% of any specialty, there's 20% of the providers that are considered top quality providers. So certainly we've looked at different types of specialties that exist and ensured that there's, is there ever enough providers like an endocrinologist? But there are enough, certainly providers within a certain radius of De Pere that we've looked at. They certainly have to be in our network like they do right now. But it doesn't, with the Gardner plan, it doesn't restrict members from going to their doctors, maybe that are not top quality providers now. They would have the option to still go to their doctor. But if they're not a top quality doctor rated by Gardner, they would then have to pay the additional cost.
Does Gardner cover all the major networks like Prevea, Aurora, Bellin?
Absolutely, yes, they do. So that's the nice thing about it. Is that, some plans, we could certainly save money. We know we could by doing a very restrictive network like an HMO plan, that you've all heard of, or like a Prevea 360. We certainly, because we have members going to all the different provider groups, that's certainly not something that we were interested in because then people are forced to switch. My philosophy is I like to give people choices, and if they, certainly then we're by still trying to manage our plan. And by if they're good consumers, and that's where, years ago you saw where employers went to high deductible health plans. Let's make people be the good consumers and shop for coverage and be good consumers. And, when you buy a car, you shop around for cost, quality. You should do the same thing for healthcare. The unfortunate piece is that even though plans moved to high deductible health plans back in the day, we didn't really have the tools to be able to search for a high quality provider. You talk to your friends or family, hey, who did you go to for this knee surgery? And that's how you'd make your decisions on who to go to your provider. Garner has now figured out a way, and there's other companies like Garner, but they figured out a way to really evaluate cost and quality per these providers. And they're not just looking at, Aurora, or they're forcing people to go to Bell. And we wanted to keep the network very open. But certainly have our employees be good consumers, because we have to find a way to better control our cost. And it's a significant cost by implementing Garner. They're estimating that it's going to be about a 20% cost savings to the city. So, and members alike. We did talk with other employer groups that implemented Garner for the last couple of years, and seeing what sort of disruption this had. How did this affect your members? They actually said that they were a little, certainly nervous, right? Nobody likes a change, but they were, in the end, their employees were very pleased with the service and were happy with it, because not only are you giving them the tools to find these top quality providers, but you're giving them the ability to also save dollars that they don't have currently. So in the end, that's certainly something that made me feel more comfortable. I mean, we don't want to just implement plan changes for the sake of saving money. We want people to be happy with it and ensure that we're still providing top quality insurance to the members.
Anybody else? Alderperson Carpenter?
Yes, what are we paying Garner to do? Man, I could look at my file
Sure.
again, but.
Yeah, I have to
alright.
pull it up. I know it's in the agreement. I mean, essentially, we pay them a monthly administrative fee, and I believe for all of our I don't remember, it's like $100 and some a month per member. And then we pay them a certain fee as well, knowing like, okay, where they're expecting this is how much an employee is going to get reimbursed. They kind of keep track of that as we go through the year, and then we do, if we've overpaid, we get 80% of the funding back. If they've overpaid us and we haven't paid enough money, then we within our policy, the city does get to keep those funds. So with all things considered, though, they're still expecting it to be a 20% cost savings.
And my next question is, do we know if Garner gets a kickback from the top 20?
I've asked that exact question. Yes, absolutely.
This is only a fair question to ask.
Certainly, I've asked that question before, and I know I've drilled down kind of on the website and looked at that stuff. I believe our broker with M3 is maybe still on, and she can speak to that. But I know I've asked that question in the past, because I'm the skeptic as well. Like, who are they paying? What are they getting for this? Is this really a legitimate business? Beck, are you on the call yet?
I'm here. Fantastic question, and I'm happy to answer that one for you. So Garner does not receive kickbacks, and in fact, they actually pay to access the data. So Garner purchases healthcare data from each of the large, the BUCA health insurance companies, as well as the publicly available data from CMS. So with that data, then that's what they're using to identify those high-quality providers in each of the specialty areas, as well as primary care. So no, they're not paid by the high-quality providers. But I think the other piece that might lead towards your question, we have spent time with each of the local provider systems, educating them about Garner, because while they're not getting compensated to be high-quality providers, all of the health systems are curious about how do they make sure that they've got providers who are in that top tier. And so they really want to understand the metrics. How do they make sure that they have providers that have those low revision rates? How do they have providers who have the low readmission rates and have the low infection rates? All of those different tools that are used to evaluate providers on their quality scores. So excellent question.
Thank you.
Do we still have an employee, like an internal employee group that kind of gets to preview these things ahead of time and weigh in on it?
We actually do. We don't meet every year on things. We kind of bring things as needed to the group. This is actually we had a meeting specially just for this topic. And the group definitely, I was like, okay, what are you interested in this? How does this sound? And we actually had 3 different scenarios that laid out, 3 different options of, okay, we could, increase the deductibles X amount. We have option A, and we have option B and option C, and they actually chose the most expensive option because they were excited about this and that, knowing that this is going to have the greatest savings to our plan overall, although it is increasing our deductibles and our out-of-pocket max a higher amount, but they felt like, let's just rip the Band-Aid off and get people fully engaged, finding that balance of providing that carrot or stick approach, right? Like, let's make it incentivize it enough to get people engaged and excited about the benefit and get them using it. If you don't do it high enough, then people aren't going to change, who they're currently seeing potentially. So, yeah, good question, but we did bring it to that group, and I don't know of anybody that opposed it or really had any concerns with it. But
Okay, thanks.
From my seat, I just want to reiterate, and Shannon mentioned this at Finance and Personnel, that after many wonderful years, we've been seeing health insurance costs increase quite dramatically. And so this is a new service and it costs us some money, but we're doing it because the savings are substantial. If we did not have Garner, it would be a budgetary impact because we would have to pay more.
Okay.
yeah, and with that, I mean, our rates are going up 10%, although that's a little higher than we'd like to do. If you remember some years where we had really good years where we had a significant surplus in our health fund, when we look back 10 years, do a 10-year look back to 2016 compared to 2026, our rates have only gone up 3.74%. So it's like less than 0.5% increase per year. I don't know that there's any employer around town that can say they've had almost a flat health insurance increase. The problem is now the last couple of years we're ticking up, so we've exhausted our surplus. And we're small. So once we have a few, a handful of members hitting our stop loss insurance, the rates flip the other way. And, there are different things that we can do. We can, change the network or do something. But this was the year that we probably had to pull a little bit more of a significant lever versus just trying to, continuously increase premiums. Because the downfall of that, some members said, well, maybe the other option was just to increase the premiums. Well, we have to remember the city pays 85 or 90% of the premiums, depending on what type of, whether it be represented or non-represented. The budget, as we know, would not have been able to sustain a 20% health insurance increase. So, we can pay for it any which way through premiums. You can pay for it with people using the plan. And, some people say, well, I'm not a consumer of the plan. Yes, I have to pay premiums, but why do I have to pay these really expensive premiums and then never use the plan? So then do you cost shift some of the costs to keep the premiums low for everybody? But then people who are using the plan maybe pay it as they have a need for it. So we're trying to continually offer things and giving people a choice. But if they are good consumers, and that's one of the, some of the other plan design changes we're making, ambulatory service. If people are good consumers and they go to the ambulatory service center versus the hospital for surgery that their provider is willing to do at the ambulatory center, okay, we're going to give you a kickback for that because you're being a good consumer, the costs are then staying low. So we're trying to offer different things like that because we're all in this together. It's members and the city of just trying to keep these costs under control.
Alderperson Carpenter.
I just want to confirm that when I left the city, the employee plus one plan, what my cost was is what they're going to pay right now. And I left in 2015.
Wow.
Nice job, Shannon.
Wow.
So I'll just say that they're going to pay what I was paid in 2015 now.
Do we have a motion? Yes. Okay. Any other questions, comments? If not,
Good job.
it's not a roll call, right? Where are we?
No. Number
All
13.
right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Item number 14, recommendation from Finance Personnel Committee to approve a redevelopment request for proposals for parcel WD-376, generally known as 360 Main Avenue.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Alderperson Hanson, seconded by Alderperson P-Rock. Do you have anything to share with us, or any questions, any comments? Alderperson Hanson?
Dan, can you just give a brief summary of why affordable housing didn't work on the site?
Absolutely. I was hoping for that question. So I did a brief presentation or a brief overview at Finance and Personnel, but in short, the reason why this is in front of you, where normally an RFP wouldn't be, was in 2022 and 2021, we talked about doing affordability on the site and the city taking the lead on it. Really what it came down to was, one, a couple things. The market has just gone increasing in construction costs, and then obviously with interest rates. We ran a pro forma on if we were to be the developer of this site, and with the assumption that no developer fees, we don't have a land cost because we already own it, we don't have to make a dime on it, but just don't lose money. Well, no matter which way I ran it, for about a 17-unit building, 5 stories, which is about what you can fit on that site if they were all primarily all 1 bedrooms, maybe a couple 2s, we were in the negative 9% internal rate of return on this project, money lost on an annual basis. If you even put $1 million from the Housing Affordability Fund into this project, you're still looking at about a negative 5% internal rate of return on it. So no matter what way we did it, there just isn't enough mass of a project. Sure, if we turn some of the units to market rate, we would then potentially have an opportunity to do it, but so can the private sector. You have an opportunity to incentivize the private sector, just like we did for on Phoenix of De Pere, where a fraction of those units, however many they're going to be, 16, 10, 15, whatever the number is, having a fraction of them would be the same thing we would have to do. The difference is it just may not be the full percentage amount. So the risk, when we talk about Irwin School being a risk, this is would have been a far greater risk from a profitability standpoint. So we took a look at it a number of different ways. It just didn't work without having significant outside resources to fund this, and that's just not how it would happen. And that assumes, by the way, that a 75% borrowing for this project, assigned to the project, taxes paid back to the TID in form of a pilot, as well as the TID funding 25% of the project because on the front end because of a loan to borrowing ratio that the banks would limit us to. So looked at it a whole myriad of different ways, and it just didn't work.
And it looks like staff's recommending some kind of mixed-use building.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We've always talked about the first floor being a experienced-based user trying to do that, but at least some sort of form of commercial on that first floor to activate that first floor. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions or comments? This one, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 15, Resolution 25-112, authorizing a 1-year lease agreement with KK Integrated Logistics, Inc., Equipment Storage Warehouse.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second. Motion by Alderperson Carpenter, seconded by me. Any discussion? Not all those in, no, roll call vote.
Alderperson Hanson.
Aye.
Kundiger.
Aye.
Ledvina.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Erock.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Estercon.
Aye.
Gantz.
Aye.
Thank you. Item 16, Resolution 25-113, authorizing contractor agreement with GFL Environmental Services USA LLC, the 2026-2028 garbage and recycling dumpster corral collection services. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson P-Rock, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Any discussion? If not, roll call vote.
Alderperson Kundiger.
Aye.
Ledvina.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Erock.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Estercon.
Aye.
Gantz.
Aye.
Hanson.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 17, Resolution 25-114, authorizing transfer of $8,909.10 from unassigned reserves to fund City Hall generator repairs.
I move to approve. I want to keep the cadence going.
Second.
Motion by Alderperson Kundinger, seconded by Alderperson P-Rock. Any discussion? Alderperson Carpenter.
Yes, how old is the generator that's at the?
What, the Spalding Fire Department, that was put in 2000.
Okay, so it's probably coming up for a replacement in the near future?
The difficulty is to get a generator that size to fit in that location. That's why we went with the trailer mount.
Okay, I'm just asking questions. I mean, we've got to get the generator fixed here, but I'm just trying to think ahead.
The repairs are already being made on it.
I know they were, but I know that, but I'm just saying, we got $16,000, and I don't know what brand new generator or anything costs, I was just asking questions.
Tom, can you speak to possibly, so we've got two generator situations, as you know, right?
Yep.
And the one that's in the fire department, only powers the minimal basics, which is why we use the trailer one. Through some of our emergency management team meetings we've been having, we've been talking about maybe even making it more of a permanent home for that generator over here, just to help deal with power situations. So if I am totally making assumptions on what might be going on in your brain, it may not make sense to replace the exact generator and fire. We might be looking at other options to make sure we have emergency power.
And I understand that, and I know insurance covered half and we're paying half, but my thought was, if that trailer one still worked at the time, maybe that decision could have been made in moving forward. I don't know what a new generator would cost, and we hit that bullet sooner than spending the money. That's all I have to say.
So the concern is where we place the generator, the cables going across are a trip hazard. So ideally, we would like to put it and make it permanent here. So at some point, maybe the sidewalk, we come up with a plan and build a place and just make it here permanent, because let's just say a tornado comes through. This generator sitting on the west side and you can't cross the bridge does us no good.
We'll get it across in 2030.
So probably something that will come forward into budget down the road is to build some kind of an enclosure for the generator, make it permanent, and that's the plan. Because to put another generator in the basement, too much labor to take it out and get one the size we need to fit. So that's why we went with the trailer when we first decided to do that. But I think the right answer is to have the trailer mounted there permanently.
Well, the only reason I bring this up, because I would hate to see it being in the budget in 2027 to do something when we just spent $16,000. That's all I'm bringing it up is reasons.
Alderperson Kundinger.
Yeah, just two things to clarify that were not clarified, just to state again, that were mentioned in finance. One, for this particular item, number 17, this is about half what it was initially proposed for because of grant to come through. And then combine 17 and 18 together are exactly what we should be using unassigned reserves for, and that it is negligible in the amount of impact that it has on the balance. I believe it was 0.003%, if I remember correctly. So just wanted to state that for anyone that might be wondering about the amounts or the use of unassigned reserves.
Thank you.
And I didn't have a problem with the unassigned reserve. I just was stating.
Oh, I know.
Future.
Yeah, I'm just bringing it back up.
I just was stating futures, just so, and I'll bring this up on the next one too. Just so you're prepared, Marty.
Any other comments or discussion on item 17? If not, roll call vote, please.
Alderperson Ledvina.
Oh, aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Pere.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Esser Khan.
Aye.
Gantz.
Aye.
Hanson.
Aye.
Kundinger.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 18, Resolution 25-115, authorizing transfer of $15,295 from unassigned reserve to fund emergency sanitary sewer line repairs at Legion Pool.
I'll move to approve. I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson Kundinger, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Discussion? Alderperson Carpenter.
So when they lined this sewer, was it a pretty straight shot that they were lining it towards the street, or did they? My questions would be, did they line a section of it, then move on and line another section of it, and there's not sections lined in it? And the reason I'm asking these questions is because, as we know, sewage going down the line, how do they find it that something's not going to get stuck, hung up and stuck where you made your joints going over your pipe and everything? Because even if you put a fine line in it, there's layers in it that stuff can get stuck on.
Correct.
And then the next question, I'll just, so you can be prepared. When we did this lining was, the city hires out a lining company. Would it been cheaper to have them come in and drill down and line straight in?
To answer your first question, and I see Thomas sitting right here, so you can verify, there were parts, so they would line portions of it, so it wasn't one continuous line. And some of the problem was that it wasn't one continuous line. You go down a ways, you turn left, and then you turn right. So there was the complications with the sewer line being not only in the women's bathroom, but also the men's bathroom. So that complicated things. We did not look at the cost of re-drilling a brand new line.
I mean, because we now do that in our water relays and everything else, so I was just wondering if any thought was put into that. I know this project is done and paid for, but that would just be future thoughts.
Yeah, the only thing that we looked at was the cost between lining the entire thing, which was in the memo, and that was pretty expensive, so we went with the cheaper option.
Yes. And you understand my reason of the flow?
Yep.
So when they did this type of lining, there was like a clear plastic bag that's on the inside of it, and then they blow it up, and then they harden it with a UV light. So when that bag goes out, it's past each end of the fiberglass, so it makes it taper itself smooth to the surface. So it's designed to be put in short pieces. They did not do the entire thing for the simple fact that, like, when you have a 90 or a Y, then they have to come in from the other direction and drill and bore into it. So usually the castings at a 90 and a 45 are thicker than the standard pipes. Therefore, the metal seemed like it had plenty of strength where it wasn't going to collapse. So then they just jumped by and they only did the areas where we had a possible crack or something that could collapse.
Fully understand. Thank you. Just wanted to make sure it was going to flow and not have difficulties in the future. Do we get a warranty with that? On that section?
They'll stand behind their lining for 1 year.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Comments? All right, if not, roll call vote, please.
Alderperson Nelson.
Aye.
P-Rock.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Esser Khan.
Aye.
Gantz.
Aye.
Hanson.
Aye.
Kundiger. Ledvina.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 19, Resolution 25-116, approving amendments to Sections 2, General Guidelines of Employment, 3, General Policies, 4, Employee Conduct, 6, Compensation, 7, Time Off and Away from Work, 9, Separation from Employment, and 10, Expenses and Reimbursements of the City of De Pere Employee Policy Manual. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson P-Rock. Discussion? Alderperson Hanson?
Yeah, Shannon, there's a lot of changes to the battalion chief positions. I know they're not part of the union, but I'm just wondering if we've had discussions with the battalion chiefs and if they're on board with this.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. That's what I wanted to hear.
Any other questions or comments?
And just to point out, they're not going to be forced to work it. It's just if they decide to work a shift, they'll receive some sort of compensation. Yeah. So it's the fair thing to do. And in all reality, when we did calculate the difference, because right now what happens, the role has to be filled. So we have to take positions from the union and move them up and then backfill. Somebody moves up, a lieutenant moves up to battalion chief, a firefighter moves up to a lieutenant, then a firefighter gets called in overtime. So we looked at what that's costing and paying a battalion chief, even though it's at a higher base rate, straight time, versus paying a lot of overtime for other positions, it's pretty much a wash. So this is not going to cost us anything really in the end, and it's the right thing to do. And we're going to be having more qualified individuals there working the shifts that they should be working. So it's a win-win overall. It's the right thing.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? If not, roll call vote, please.
Alderperson P-Rock.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Esser Khan.
Aye.
Gantz.
Aye.
Hanson.
Aye.
Kundiger. Ledvina.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 20, Resolution 25-117, approving grant agreement modification to Division of Public Health, DPH, LPHD. I'm not going to try to figure out what those are. Immunization Consolidated Contract 65397-4 in the amount of $8,310.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Alderperson Gantz, seconded by Alderperson P-Rock. Any discussion? If not, all those, roll call vote, please.
Alderperson Carpenter.
Aye.
Esser Khan.
Aye.
Gantz.
Aye.
Hanson.
Aye.
Kundiger. Ledvina.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Rock.
Aye.
The motion carries. Thank you. Item 21, Resolution 25-118, authorizing purchase of managed detection and response cybersecurity services from Arctic Wolf Networks, Inc. in the amount of $25,500.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson Carpenter, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Discussion? If not, roll call vote, please.
Alderperson Essercon?
Aye.
Gantz?
Aye.
Hanson?
Aye.
Cuniger?
Aye.
Ledvina?
Aye.
Nelson?
Aye.
Rock.
Aye.
Carpenter?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 22, consideration and possible action on the negotiation of EMS contracts with the town of Lawrence. Please take notice that the council may convene in closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.851 for agenda item 22. E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business, whether competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. The council may then reconvene thereafter in open session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.852 to take any action on any matter discussed in closed session or for such other purposes as are allowed by law. I'd entertain a motion to enter into closed session.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson Carpenter, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Roll call vote, please.
Alderperson Gantz?
Aye.
Hanson?
Aye.
Cuniger? Ledvina?
Aye.
Nelson?
Aye.
Rock.
Aye.
Carpenter?
Aye.
Essercon?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Motion to return to open session. Roll call vote, please? No.
Yep, so you motion. Somebody needs to second
Yeah,
to return to.
I'll second.
Motion by me, seconded by Esther Cohn. Roll call vote, please.
All right.
Thank you.
Alderperson Hanson?
Aye.
Cuniger? Aye. Ledvina?
Aye.
Nelson?
Aye.
Rock.
Aye.
Carpenter?
Aye.
Essercon?
Aye.
Gantz?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. We are back in open session. I'll make a motion to direct staff to proceed as discussed in closed session.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by me, seconded by Alderperson Carpenter. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Future agenda items. Does anybody have anything? All right.
Nothing left to discuss.
Motion to adjourn is in order. Anybody?
Move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Motion by Alderperson Hanson, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.